I was right. Oh, I was so right from the very beginning. Give me applause.
Hello, welcome back to a new year of Star Trek Discovery, Feminist Frequencies, Recap, FREQCast. I don't remember how to host this podcast, but here we are.
Here we are. Welcome.
You missed us.
To 2018. Welcome to 2018 and welcome to the Mirror Universe. Ooh.
Ooh.
You can't see because I'm on a podcast, but I am wearing the fake beard that denotes my evilness in this Mirror Universe.
Yep, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I am Anita Sarkeesian, and I am joined, as always, by the delightful Ebony Astor.
Oh, yes. Still delightful.
Yeah.
I didn't leave it behind in 2017.
I thought about calling you my sidekick, and then I thought better of it.
Yeah. Good choice.
All right, so we watched Star Trek Discovery instead of the Golden Globes.
And I
That
frankly
was a thing
couldn't
that
be
happened.
happier about that choice. Yeah, I couldn't be happier about that choice.
I'm a little disappointed. I wanted to watch the Golden Globes. It seems like an important year, but whatever. We are here. We've committed to all three of our listeners, which I know there's more of you, but I'm just pretending that we were going to come back. So Star Trek Discovery is finishing out its first season. It was just to remind you, there was 8 episodes in late 2017.
Were there 8 or were there 9?
I don't know. 9. Oh, yeah, because this is episode 10.
We do so much killer research.
You're right. It is 9 because there was 2 in one night.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Half of the season. We're watching the rest of the other half. Blah, 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 blah. So this is about this cast is going to be about episode 10 called Despite Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this episode,
give it to me, Anita.
I had feelings.
I know
had
you
feelings.
did because while we are watching the show, we're not watching it in the same room, but we are watching it together in spirit. And so we were WhatsApping each other. And I think I was a little bit ahead of you, and so I knew what was coming, and I was having to physically restrain myself, sit on my hands, because shit was going down, and I was losing my mind.
Yeah, but so we try to not, on all of our podcasts, we try to not talk about it while it's happening, while we're watching the shows or whatever. And so our WhatsApp is literally just holy shit!
Yep.
And then
oh my God.
Five minutes later when I catch up, I'm like, what? And then there was definitely a big declaration of Ebony was right.
Yep.
Ebony called it.
Vindication. Oh, feel free to send in your congratulations, your shouts out, the big ups to me at Ebony Astor, because I called this shit from the first minute. From the first minute, I knew some shady shit was going to go down, and there was going to be an undercover Klingon operative on the Discovery. I'm so goddamn psychic.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You're so good. I'm so happy you were right.
Me too.
I thought it was a totally far-fetched conspiracy thing, but wow. That's
I
where
know,
they
because
went.
I don't get enough respect in this joint. But I know what's up when it comes to hackneyed TV drama. No one knows it like me, But anyways, let's get into it. I want to know what things stood out to you? I mean, obviously, there were some moments of just sheer, bat shittery, in this episode, So I like that they didn't give you, they didn't give us a single episode to catch our breath. They just went out swinging.
Yeah. And I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So I was dreading coming back to, I don't like this show, and I was dreading coming back to it and being like, all right, whatever, we got to do this again. And I actually, I didn't hate, there were things I didn't like about the episode, but I didn't hate it. I was like, oh, this is a cool direction. I do want to not shout out, but I just want to say this was directed by Jonathan Frakes, who plays Riker.
Jonathan Frakes, Riker, what? Yeah. He's a great director.
So Frakes, not Franks, Frakes.
It's not Frakes, is it?
Isn't
Frakes.
It totally is. Hold on.
What are you going to, you're going to try and Google how to pronounce it? It's Frakes. Don't tell me I've been saying it wrong all my life.
Okay, I thought you said Franks,
No.
NK, but at least we're mispronouncing the correct spelling. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Whatever. Somebody tell us how to pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Riker because, you know.
Okay, right. Number one.
But so, like, you know, he's directed a bunch of TV. Like, this is nothing new, but it was kind of cool to see his name pop up. And I was like, whatever. And because this episode was better, I'm wondering what role he played in, like, massaging out the shit of the show that we don't like. So, I don't know. Whatever. Just putting that out there. All right. I love the main storyline. Like, I love that they, you know, so we ended the last episode, you know, with Stamets, you know, Lorca convincing Stamets to do one last jump so that they can, like, present this information and, like, find all these discoveries and information and all this shit for scientific discovery. I keep saying discovery. That's not intentional, but here we are.
Quality podcasting.
Yeah, that's great. You know, whatever. So, they, you know, Stamets, like, malfunctions.
I'm dying here because I know you don't remember nothing that happened. Like the show just ended,
I only remember
a couple of months
recap.
ago. I know you don't remember shit about what went on in the first half of the season, so you are struggling.
Well, yeah, well, whatever. So I don't remember anything, but the recap was helpful. So Stamets malfunctions basically. He's hurt by going through this thing. He goes into a functional coma, and they're now like somewhere that they don't recognize, and there's like it looks like a ruins of some kind of battle, and we find out that they're in an alternative universe, and I'm like, whoa, when did this show get good? Like when did this show decide to tell interesting stories?
This is okay. Oh. I've been waiting, like, with bated breath since the show ended, this episode ended, to come talk to you because I know, based upon your Star Trek watching history, you have no history with the Mirror Universe. So you didn't know what they were leading up to, and you probably still don't get it. So I'm going to have to walk you through this shit week by week. And like, I don't have enough to do on a weekly basis. But so the Mirror Universe first appears in Star Trek the original series in an episode called Mirror Mirror. Classic, iconic, right? Then we see it come back in Deep Space Nine. Shout out Deep Space Nine. And then I never watched Enterprise. I'm not going to go back and watch it. I say that now. One day, I don't know. I may have the flu, get bored. But Enterprise just didn't appeal to me.
But you never watched Enterprise?
I watched a couple.
My
episodes.
God, I'm being such an idiot. You're not talking about Next Generation. You're talking about Enterprise.
Jesus
which is
Christ.
The words that are
who am I doing this podcast with? Who is this? Who?
No.
Oh, my God. Do these people see what I'm working with?
I literally
Alien Wolves, Anita.
It's such a piece of shit show that I forget that it exists. Like I
Existed,
don't want it to exist. So it just fell out of my brain, which is why I was utterly confused. Cool.
Okay, well that makes sense.
All right.
Right. So anyways, so we saw the Mirror Universe appear in original series, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise, which I know you didn't watch any of, so you're not gonna have the background on why like the Mirror Universe is so awesome, and I love like I was totally not expecting them to go this route because as much as they are trying to kind of reboot what Starfleet is and what the meaning of a Star Trek show could be, I just didn't expect that they would go the direction of having a Mirror Universe episode because those tend to be campier, funnier episodes. They tend to be, although there are, kind of deep questions about like fascism and authoritarianism and stuff that undergird like the world building in the Mirror Universe episodes. It's pretty much an excuse for like people to wear, kind of like skeezy, sleazy, sexy outfits and wear, like I said, Van Dyke beards. They're not typically super serious. So I wasn't expecting it.
Are the Mirror Universes always like this? Like, are they always just like worse and evil and...
Yeah, so they always go to this universe where the Terran Empire has replaced or, stands in for Starfleet. And so, like I said, it's this militaristic, xenophobic, fascistic empire. And, it's a matter of the folks from our empire, our touchy-feely Starfleet having to fake their way through. And so the costuming is always great in a Mirror Universe episode. The hammy acting is always great. I mean, look at what we got from Tilly. Like,
oh my God, I loved it. So good.
My cosplay this year between Oprah Winfrey and Wrinkle in Time and Captain Killy. I got to start sewing right now. Was on board for it.
So good. She was so delightful and wonderful in that role. Like, I really liked it. And I was noticing, we've talked a bunch about how Tilly is the characterization of her is so inconsistent. And when she was with Stamets in the medical bay, and she was trying to, annoy him back to consciousness, was really those moments where you're like, oh, like, I really like Tilly. And this is that sort of awkward weirdness that we've grown to expect from her, but hasn't been consistent. And so then it was just such a nice contrast to her having to try to be tough and mean when she and I think that the actor who plays her did a really good job, because when you're trying to play like an alt universe or like a different character, there's always this tension between you need to show that you're the other character deep down, but like this facade of who you're presenting. And I think she did a really good job of it. And watching her struggle with saying assholes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but once she got into it, I think there was something kind of cool about, if indeed Tilly is actually, a neuroatypical person, right? I love that in a way this kind of shows the abilities that many neuroatypical people have to demonstrate at reading how other people are communicating and matching themselves to, right? So I just thought it was so totally. Well done. I just so in love with her. So in love. I hope that they
really liked
keep
it too.
not fucking her up, because for a while there, when it seemed like she was just gonna go like, sidekick, wingman, like fruity sorority girl Tilly, I was like, y'all fucked this up. You only had 9 episodes. How did you go from having somebody so cool to fucking her up? But we're getting it back.
Yeah, and like, I don't know how long this is. Is it going to last one more episode or more? But it's going to last at least one more episode, so I'm excited to see more of Captain Killy.
Yeah.
And I love that they did and not. They were just like, that's subtle. Like, I liked some of that self-conscious joking that happened and the sort of campiness, and it makes I'm disappointed that I don't know the history of this in the Star Trek universe.
Disappointed in you. I'm disappointed as well.
Yeah, I feel like it would mean a lot more, because I really did enjoy this the overarching themes of what was happening here.
Since you your Star Trek fandom, it's deep, but it's fairly narrowly focused. Did you enjoy Lorca's Scottish accent?
That was
shout out to
is that a thing
Come
too?
On. I hated that I laughed, but I laughed.
I totally did too. I thought it was cute. Like, I liked that. And because I was sitting there being like, he looked so pained. I was like, what is he going to do? And like, there was enough pause between like, Michael telling him to mask his voice and him trying to think of what to do. And that was really cute.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. So they are in this alternative universe, et cetera, and there's a bunch of other stuff happening that's all rotating around this main storyline. And I think one of the ones that's interesting-ish, like I'm conflicted about, but interesting, is the Tyler stuff, which, you totally called.
Yeah.
He's having these, like, what seem to be PTSD flashbacks when he's trying to... First of all, hold on. So he's on this little shuttle and he's trying to get a data core out. They have this really fucking cool looking laser tech thing that they get to like use to excavate. Where did that come from?
The look of the tech in this show is so wildly inappropriate for where it's supposed to sit in the timeline of the Star Trek universe.
And I was thinking about like the coloring of the show, right? Like it's really grainy. But there's these moments like in the medical bay, it's really bright. It's really bright and light, like the Star Trek movie reboot. Yeah, but then everywhere else is really, really grainy and gritty, and sort of like muted. And so there's just these. It feels inconsistent to me, and so I'm like, I don't know. I should pay attention to it more and see if it actually is consistent, because I only started really noticing it now, but. The cinematography is obviously a conscious decision about how they're trying to express the emotions of a particular scene.
Well, smarter people than the two of us have probably spent, some time unpacking the ways that this show is lit and photographed.
Oh, sure.
So, feel free to hit us up and shoot us suggestions of stuff to read, because I would be interested in reading about that stuff. Because, I mean, it's more than just, like, the difference between the look of a Klingon ship or the look of a Vulcan ship versus the look of a Starfleet ship.
No,
right?
it's actually,
But, I mean,
lighting and color corrections and that all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but also like within the body of a single ship, as you're saying, or a single like Starfleet property, so you have like the shuttlecraft looking different from the medical bay and whatever, and yeah, there's clearly like stuff that they're trying to communicate there, and so I'd love to read more about that stuff.
Yeah,
one thing,
totally.
Speaking of the look of the show, it seemed like there were more brown people on the bridge in this episode, and I was here for it. I was here for it. I don't know who got promoted.
Would you like to do your hair report
what got
right
transferred. Yeah, it looked great. It looked damn good. It looked moisturized. It was soft and geometric. I wanted to run my fingers through it. I get why Tyler loves Burnham. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, I don't get why Burnham likes Tyler, though.
On point. I give it a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10.
I'm so digging the woman's hair. The other black woman, she has braids or dreads or something. I can't remember what it was because we only see her for 2 seconds.
On the bridge?
Yeah. Loving her. I want her to like actually be a character.
Yeah, I'm blanking on her name, which sucks because I did the research to actually find out her name.
Yeah.
And it starts with an O.
I wrote it down last time, but I don't remember either. But so Tyler,
can we be nominated for some kind of podcast award, because quality like this needs to be recognized?
It's not our fault that they didn't make her a character, and the only reason you and I even know her name ever at any point, which is not currently, is because we both watched the show with subtitles on. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think she's had more than 3 lines, but I desperately want her to, and I am hoping that we'll get, who knows, in this mirror universe, maybe she catches a break.
Yeah, maybe. So Tyler's having these PTSD flashbacks, and they're really intense, right? Like, it's hard. This is not easily dismissed, like, even for us. Like, he's tortured, and all this awful stuff is happening, and he's really interfering with his ability to do his job, right? Like, that beginning scene, you're like, when Michael's like, you have to be very precise or else you'll lose all of it. You're just sitting there being like, oh my God, he's gonna fuck it up, right?
Yeah.
So I thought some of that stuff in this episode was interesting, right? He goes to Laurel. So close. He goes to Laurel, who is the Klingon that tortured him and raped him, or we assume it sounded like. And he's like, what did you do to me? And she says, open the cell and I'll tell you everything you want to know. And then he opens the cell, and I was like,
well, what was extra hilarious is that there's a button, 2 buttons, open and close. Now, this doesn't seem like the most effective prison if it's that easy to get into a cell. Seems like there should be a code or a key or something.
Sure. I was also thinking, because nobody knows what's going on with him and he's not like revealing that information, that like wouldn't there be some kind of notification when a cell door opens?
Girl, please,
maybe,
right?
But he's also the security.
Wouldn't there be? Yeah, I'm assuming that has to be the answer, because otherwise, wouldn't there also be someone stationed in the brig? You have this like high value prisoner down there, and just like no one is keeping tabs on her.
So we are being generous to the show by saying because he's the security chief, then all of those things don't matter. But I think that that's just not. It's just this. It's not there because it doesn't work for this particular story. So whatever.
Right.
But so that's when we find out that they're like doing this prayer, and he's got some Klingon shit inside of him, and Ebony's all, I was right.
I was right. Oh, I was so right from the very beginning. Give me applause. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So
he's hiding this, right?
Right, but
go ahead.
to be honest, when I said, from the beginning I said, okay, it's going to turn out Tyler is actually, old dude from the Klingon ship, right? But there was a part of me that was like, how in the world are they going to have arranged this? And of course, it has to have been some sort of like, mind meldy personality overlay, whatever. Because as you're looking at Tyler facing off against L'Rell, you see the size of that Klingon dome. Ain't no way they could they could just like shave it down and make it into a human and whatever. But I don't know. I'm really worried, I have to say, about how they're going to, like, how the PTSD storyline is going to play out in this show. Like, man, they really can't fuck it up. Of all the things they're doing on this show, the way that we understand what's happened to Tyler, what is happening to Tyler, his fear that he's not who he thinks he is, his very real concern that someone's gonna find out, that he has to hide what he's going through while still attempting to wrestle with it. Like, I just don't want them to fuck it up.
Yeah, I know.
And have him like, I don't want him to like, think his way or fight his way out of PTSD, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I want them to, pay it the time and the consideration this very real, experience deserves.
Yeah, totally. And like, it's this, we don't know what they're, because it's obviously a like supernatural science fiction universe of PTSD in this particular case. Like, it is and it isn't, right? Like, there are legitimate, like, he's having flashbacks and he's getting triggered, but also he has some shit like melded and grafted onto his body, right? That's literally making him a different person. And so I'm curious, like,
I have a question about that too, like, because Culber says they went into your limbs and like broke them apart and like shortened your radius and femur and whatever. And for a second I was like, wait, did they make him shorter or taller? Wouldn't someone have noticed? Wouldn't he have noticed, like, hey, I'm 6 inches taller than I used to be. My arms are a lot longer. There feels like there's junk in here. I don't know. I'm not the smartest person to be watching this show. I have really basic questions.
I mean, what if he is the other Klingon dude that we obviously, right? And then, but like, they put the other Klingon dude in his body or something. That doesn't make any sense either.
So like, he's wearing like a Tyler suit?
Yeah, kinda. Because, like, why, if you're just doing, like, a mental graph, right? Like, they're talking about building personalities on top of an existing personality. Like, why would you have to break down all of your bones and cells and all that shit to make that happen?
They probably needed space to pack in some more of that huge Klingon brain. Look at the size of that Klingon head.
It just,
like a regular human head won't hold it.
It's like brains are like grafted onto the different pieces of these organs and shit.
Yeah, it's like trying to shove pudding in a sock. Like, you gotta find any place it'll fit. I guess, I don't know.
Oh man, that shit's weird.
I know, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Like what it's gonna turn out to be.
Well, I'm curious about this part of Tyler. Kind of exclusively. I fucking hate him and Burnham. Like, I hate their relationship and I hate everything about them. And like, they don't have good chemistry as actors. Like, when they started kissing, I literally text you saying, "Ew, kissing." Like like a 5-year-old.
I know, exactly. It was like getting a text from a 3rd grader. Actually, but I hand wrote my notes because it's 1917 apparently, and the largest note I wrote was, "Oh my God, don't have sex." Like, that's how strongly I feel about it.
Which
my
are.
Major takeaway. Yeah, of course, because the next, like in the trailer for the next episode.
Yeah, you see them all naked in bed and shit.
The bedroom scene. Yeah.
Gross. No.
Yeah, gross. Not into it.
I want the fan edit that edits that shit out.
Get cracking.
So I don't like them.
Be the change you want to see in the world, Anita.
Yeah, I know, right? You don't want to see my old fan vids that I used to make.
I do.
But so the thing that kind of bummed me out is that overall I really liked this episode and I felt a lot more emotionally invested. And then it kind of ends with Michael saying this shit, fucking Tyler saying this shit to Burnham. I'm here to protect you. Nothing will ever stand in the way of that, no matter what happens. And we know his story. She doesn't know his story. And it's supposed to be this touching moment. And I can't take them seriously. And it just feels like it's ruining the goodwill that this episode gave me. Or that I gave to or whatever.
Their romantic relationship is so unnecessary. The closeness that those two outsiders could have brought to a friendship would have been, I think, even more compelling if they were just friends. You know?
Yeah.
There was no need to get them into bed.
Exactly. And because of they're using this relationship as a way to make Tyler have an outlet and a care and a connection and it's a way to be able to add another dimension to how to express what's happening to him and his trauma. But you could do the exact same thing through a friendship, like you were saying, right? All of the narrative devices that they're using here would be so lovely if they were we're both kind of outsiders and we're banding together, right? Yeah,
exactly.
What you just said.
As much as I still, and I feel bad about it, but as much as I still don't like Stamets and Culber, I'm okay now with that relationship being the only. Well, it might be too late for me to have that.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
oh yeah, I guess we need to put in a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
This whole episode's a spoiler alert.
Yes, seriously.
Okay, I actually forgot his name, so in all of my notes, I just called him Ricky. So I was like, Ricky, the doctor. Okay, so Stamets, Culber, he, he's catatonic, and then he comes out with these things. So he's clearly plugged into a higher dimension of understanding because he keeps saying, "Be careful, the enemy is here." He's saying some shit about the palace, which I'm assuming has to do with the Emperor of the Terran, whatever. And then I was like, oh. Tyler's going to Ricky to be like, something's wrong with me. Can you figure it out? And that, that asking for help is cool. And at least there's someone that he feels like he could go to. And then he fucking kills him.
Just cranks that neck. I shot off my couch. I shot off my couch. But similarly to the brig, is there no one in this medical bay?
I know.
I just feel like there's all kinds of people around in the hallways and whatever. I mean, you can't even get in a Jeffries tube without running into someone. But in this medical bay, there's fucking no one around.
It's funny that you say that because I remember when in the scene where Tyler is telling him about hey, you need to check me out because there's something wrong with me. You can see another medical person examining Stamets. And I was like, why are you? I was like, why are you talking about this in front of other people?
Right, and then after he snapped that neck, what did he do with the body? Did he just kick it in the corner and then, teleport off the ship? I have questions. Well, someone's gonna find that body. Someone is gonna ask, "Where's Culber?" and replay some shit and figure out Tyler did it.
Didn't you see the scene where Stamets is holding him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So from the point at which Culber gets laid out to whatever happens once Tyler, Burnham, and Lorca transport over to the Shingo. I just want to know what happened to his body. Did he just leave it there? What was his end game? Are we assuming he knows he's not coming back?
Right, and when he came to the transporter bay or whatever, and he was he was all frazzled and they were like, "Where were you?" Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you were chopping up this body and shitting it out into space or something. I was like, you were late because you were disposing of the body because you needed to cover it up because clearly when you are threatened, this other personality comes out, right?
Right.
Or whatever is happening there. But no, he just left the body. So yeah, is this going to get wrapped up in the next episode? It's fucking weird.
Well, I think narratively we know Tyler doesn't come out of this. He straight up murdered a dude. And it was unprovoked. So we know that his character's done for. So maybe that's why they were we don't need to worry about it because he's not ever going to come back and be part of the crew again. We can just let this go.
Yeah.
So,
probably.
hey, if they don't care about it, I'm refusing to care about it.
Sure. Well, yes, agreed. Just, whatever. They're this show. Lorca.
Yes.
And those goddamn fortune cookies.
Those fucking fortune cookies.
Yeah, I was like, yep, they're sitting there. I wonder if alt universe Lorca likes fortune cookies too. Like,
oh yeah,
cookies.
I have a question about the Mirror Universe episodes. So even though I've given you the business about not having watched any of the other properties in which the Mirror Universe appears, the fact is I've seen the original series Mirror Universe episodes. I've seen the Deep Space Nine ones. I haven't seen the Enterprise ones, so I can't say. And I haven't read any of the Star Trek novels either that make use of it as a setting. I have a question about the Mirror Universe. In all instances of a parallel universe in fiction that are like this, where it seems as if things are exactly the same in the Mirror Universe, except for like one thing, right? So
yeah,
in the parallel universe to where we live, you and I still work for Feminist Frequency, but I have red hair or something. Like, I don't have another job. I didn't go left where I should have went right at some point.
Yeah.
Like, everything else is the same. It's just I have sideburns. This doesn't make any sense.
I was thinking the same thing actually, because if you like, if it's science, like if you make different choices as a different person, and you like end up in other places, or like, the world is completely different in terms of the philosophy of the world, then why wouldn't you be doing different things? Not just like, I was on the ship, but like I kill people now, right? Like that doesn't
exactly.
I don't buy that.
Well, and also, like, okay, if posit that there are an infinite number of universes, right? Well, then, yes, there is a universe that is exactly the same as the one in which we currently exist, except in the other one, I have one green eye and one red eye, whatever, right? But everything else is the same. How is it that they always end up in that same mirror universe? Like, why is that one the one that they always end up in?
Fandom.
Yeah, why don't they ever end up in the one where,
Did you ever watch Fringe?
Intelligent bananas.
Did you ever watch Fringe?
I watched maybe one episode, and I would like to go back to it because I'm a big fan of John Noble.
So I'll say this: Noble, right? I don't know if that's his name, but probably the actor looks like that kind of name. I don't know. It's with Anna Torv, and she's fucking amazing, so you should watch it for that reason. But I will say that Fringe was one of those shows where I watched the pilot and fucking hated it, and then I was told to go back and watch it and did, and like really liked the show. But I only bring it up because in that show's alt universe, they, like someone who is in a powerful position, like say a doctor, for example, might be like a politician in the mirror universe. Like I think that the ambition of the person might look different, but has the same kind of level potentially.
That's really gross. I think that's really gross when you unpack it, because if powerful people are powerful in one universe and then also in another universe, it suggests that there's something imminent to them and inherent in them that that allows them. So conversely, people who are poor or exploited, there's something imminent to them and their being that makes it, they're just perpetually a victim. Fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, no, totally. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think there's like there has to be much more. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of mirror universe fiction written about like how do you like. I think some of the constraints with this kind of fiction is that like it's partly you have to show familiarity, and you have to show some kind of like connection as a way for those characters to interact with each other, right? So like. If Michael or whatever, if the crews of these ships were like no longer a part of alt Starfleet and they were on like a mining planet, then that's not useful for the storyline that they're trying to do, right? But like if you did really create all these alternative universes, like how fascinating would it be to completely like to tweak it enough that it feels almost dreamlike as opposed to just like opposites or whatever.
Right. Well,
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm actually curious about really good like alt universe fiction. Send me some, internet. Send me some.
Yeah, internet. Send us some. I have to say, I'm looking at the the decision to situate some episodes in the mirror universe in a kind of cynical way, in that I think this show, because it's shown, it's demonstrated that it really it loves like the kind of militaristic bent, and the kind of, like, call to violence. Like, setting things in the mirror universe allows them to do more of that, for at least a couple of episodes. Like, there's going to be tons of guns and fighting, and, more neck breaking, and it's really just an excuse to have like a grand romp through space that has nothing at all to do with the Starfleet mission of diplomacy. And I am susceptible to it. Like, I'm looking forward to these next couple of episodes. I mean, I hope we get way more Tilly, because she's the best part about it so far to me. But, the other thing that I would like for them to, someone to say, and it won't be a bridge officer. Again, we need a show that's about like the janitor or just like the people who work in the cafeteria. But I want someone to be like, you know what? This mirror universe looks a lot like our universe. There ain't a lot different. Like, I'm still getting shit on. Things are not that different.
Well, when are we going to get our janitor? Well, wasn't there a show? I was going to say, when do we get our janitors of Star Trek show?
We don't, but we did have the show Red Dwarf. We did have the show Red Dwarf, and that was very working class in space. All right. I need a new co-host.
I know what it is. I didn't watch it though. And wasn't there like a web comic a web series, like a web show about it was a Star Wars one though, right? Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, whatever. There was one about like the stormtroopers on the ship that are just like nobodies. And the show was about them.
Well, I mean, that was partly what was cool about Rose in The Last Jedi, right? Is like, oh yeah, it's cool to see some people from below decks.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Because they're just as affected by these galaxy-spanning events.
Yeah, I loved the outfits in the alt universe. I gotta say, I actually watching Michael take off that giant gold plated thing. I was like, I love the way that looks, but I loved the almost difficulty of taking it off, where you're reminded of how ridiculous these costumes are, like how absurd and heavy they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, and like you could feel the weight as she took it off.
Yeah,
I really loved that. I'm of two minds. As much as I loved Captain Killy, I'm of two minds that the alt universe version of her is the boobtacular one, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, I know, I don't like that either. But I was thinking that too, right? Where it's like Captain Killy is sexy, quote unquote, and like Tilly, as she is supposed to be sort of bland and not sexually desirable, and like that's such a shitty dynamic to set up, right? Like, and TV does this all the time, but I think it's really disappointing in terms of like our social conceptions of attractiveness and desirability.
Well, at least they didn't do that thing where like Tilly's wearing glasses and has her hair up, and then when she's Tilly, she takes off her glasses and shakes her hair out.
Oh God,
that would have been fantastic.
I hear you on the like just another episode, like it's just another opportunity to be super uber violent and all that crap, and I 100% agree. And I was thinking that like as I was watching them on the other ship, the Shenzhou, I was like, this is kind of cheesy. Like, it's a little over the top, and it's a little like it's over the top in a way that isn't reflective, like the joke about Captain Killy's name. So that kind of stuff bothers me a little bit. But I wonder if, because Michael's clearly upset that she had to kill this guy, regardless of like the fact that it was self-defense, and regardless of the fact that it's not actually her friend that she knew before. Like, I wonder if they're going to at all discuss or engage with like the emotional costs that surviving this particular mission is going to take on everyone. And that scene with Lorca in the end, it being tortured, like so that the brig in alt universe is fucking terrifying. And I know it's cheesy, but I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. Like I actually felt like tense. And then watching him in it, I was like, oh my God, like this is gonna fuck you up. Even more than you already are.
Yeah, I have to say, I am giving Lorca a couple of biscuits for this episode, because we did get a couple of moments of self-reflection that I thought were sincere and that I thought were effective. And when Burnham's walking him through the research that she's done from the Rebel files, and she's like, okay, here's the breakdown of who we are and whatever and blah blah, and he was like, I kind of hate that I'm still this guy in an alternate universe. you know?
Yeah.
And that felt real to me.
He's ship didn't survive and all of that.
Yeah.
Like, it felt, I really liked that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like that as well. And, I don't know. Yeah, Lorca wasn't terrible in this episode. And those moments where he's like, you do what you have to do. Like, I am not your captain anymore. Like, we need to survive this. And because Starfleet is such a hierarchical, regimented system that, like, he does have to say that. Like, I believe that he has to say that many times to get that drilled into everybody to understand that, like, this is life or death and our hierarchy here doesn't matter. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't the worst.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
And that is high praise coming from us.
It's true. Yeah, so overall, this is not bad.
I'm giving it a B minus.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll be there with you.
Yeah,
I'll be
or
there.
I
enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I'm gonna. In fact, you know what? I'm taking back my B minus. I'm gonna use the rating system that my brother started using over the holidays, which makes no goddamn sense. So if he's listening to this show, I'm calling you out. He was like, 5 stars. You can't give a 5-star system doesn't allow for enough breadth and complexity, you know, to say something is like 3 stars or 4 stars. It just is. It seems like a very crude kind of ranking system. So he decided he wanted to do 10 stars, but he would say, so I gave this movie 8 stars. And I'm like, Brian, that is mathematically the same thing as 4 stars out of 5. But in his mind, it was somehow different. So I'm gonna give this 8 stars out of 10.
There is a joke. There's a joke in games that you probably don't know about, like 7 out of 10, and like so for folks who get that joke, there you are. We'll give it a 7 out of 10. But Carolyn and I have talked about this a lot, about how like the rating systems like on films and games and everything is just, it's so limiting and not actually useful, because we've talked at Feminist Frequency about like whether we want to give ratings to things, and we're like, it's just not, everything is too complicated for that. Like, it doesn't 2 out of 10 versus 7 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10. Like, what does that even fucking mean? So do you have a theme song for us?
I already sang it. It was the I'm Right song. Do you want me to do you want a reprise? I was right. I can't believe you didn't know I was right. I'm always right.
Yeah, it's true.
Give me a raise.
It's true. Cool. I think we did it. I think I'd give this episode a C+.
Yeah.
We're a little rusty. We're getting back into the groove of it. And yeah. It was nice to not just shit on the entire episode. So that was
and I have
surprise.
to say, for people who listen to this episode, please listen to our regular flagship Freak Show radio episode that's going to come out this Wednesday, because we are going to talk about an episode of Black Mirror that I really wanted to bring up, as you know, Anita and I were talking about this Star Trek episode, but if you are a fan of Star Trek or just a fan of this podcast, you're going to want to listen to our main podcast on Wednesday. So tune in.
Which you can find on all of your podcasters at Feminist Frequency Radio. So join us there. I just watched that right before this episode, and man, that back-to-back of all this shit was a little intense.
Yeah, it was much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. You'll also notice that I refrained from talking about the Orville, which I wanted to bring up, but I'm not going to.
You didn't.
I didn't.
And now you got people. Now you got people popping up in my mentions trying to get me to watch it. Save it, folks. Save it. Never gonna happen.
One of our listeners sent us a YouTube video that I didn't get a chance to watch, but I really want to, which is one of the former writers of Star Trek talks about the differences between Discovery and the Orville, which I would find very interesting. So I will eventually listen to that and give you my full report. Force you to listen to that.
You should give me your full report, because again, if it mentions the Orville, I'm not
fair.
interested.
I completely respect that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to be back with all of you. What is the end of stuff? The stuff is Please review this podcast. Leave us a little comment if you like it. It really helps us with getting the word out there. You can subscribe to us on any of the podcast hosts of your choice because we should be just about everywhere at this point. And I think that's it. We'll see y'all next week. Oh, wait. I'm so rusty. What the hell? I'm at Anita Sarkeesian on Twitter. Ebony is at Ebony Astor, and you can find all of our work and all our other podcasts at feministfrequency.com.
Yeah, and make sure to nominate us for a potty award, because this shit is gold.
All right, y'all. We will be so much better next week. Probably not. Bye.
Will we, though?
No, we won't. Goodbye.